Look, talent comes everywhere, but having something to say and a way to say it so that people will listen to it, that's a whole other bag. And unless you get out and you try to do it, you'll never know. That's just the truth.
Crash through the surface when they can't hurt us. We're far from the shallow now.
A Star is Born is directed by Bradley Cooper and starring Bradley Cooper, as well as Lady Gaga and Sam Elliott. As usual, there will not be any plot spoilers in this review. This is the fourth iteration of A Star is Born. The original came out in 1937, a remake came out in 1954, another remake came out in 1976, and now we have this one here in 2018. And similar to those films, this is a film that is about an artist in Jackson, Maine, portrayed by Bradley Cooper, who has discovered a young prodigy or ingenue in Allie, who is portrayed by Lady Gaga. And this film chronicles their relationship, its ups and downs, as her star is rising and his star isn't quite rising, but he's going through a lot of emotional inner turmoil throughout the film, and it affects their relationship. Bradley Cooper is not the first actor to make the transition from actor to director. There have been many actors and actresses who have done that. Some have had good results, some have had bad results, some start out good then turn bad, but I have to say that this one goes into the category of starting out very, very good. I was very pleasantly surprised while watching this film of how good the direction is, especially for someone who hasn't done it before. The difference between acting and directing can be quite large. Bradley Cooper has also been a producer before, so he understands how film productions go, so that probably definitely helped him on this film. And what I like about his direction is that I felt that there were certain things that were done in the movie purposely. For example, the cinematography in this film is almost all done in medium close-ups or just close-ups in general. There are very few wide shots or establishing shots, and it gives the film a lot of intimacy. After all, this is a story that really revolves around the relationship between two characters, whether it be professionally or predominantly romantically, so you want to get the feel of a lot of genuine intimacy. Also, when it came to the musical sequences, there was such a magic and a mesmerizing quality about them that I found myself just in complete awe of what I was seeing. And it does very much help that Lady Gaga is a well-established, fantastic singer. But what really surprised me is how well Bradley Cooper was able to sing and perform as well, and really how they were able to mesh with each other and harmonize with each other within the scene, and it really helped with their chemistry throughout the film. One of the biggest and probably highest positive marks I can say about this film is I thought the acting was fantastic. I thought Bradley Cooper was amazing. I think he is slowly having quite a fantastic career when you just look at all of the great performances he has done over the last few years. I personally think this is his best. I think this is a role where he pushed it to the nth degree, where he gave really his entire self into this performance, and it really showed on screen. There were a lot of points in the movie where he had to go to a very dark and very vulnerable and very introspective place, and he did that very, very well. And also, Lady Gaga is really good in this movie. She was just revelatory at times in many regards, in my opinion. She was able to portray the character, I feel, in a very genuine way. She is someone who comes from very humble beginnings and is slowly making her rise and her ranks up through the music industry, and you see how that could possibly change her character and possibly change who she is, and the film doesn't fall into a lot of those traps that you see with a lot of films that have similar premises to A Star is Born. I think it goes without saying the music in this film is fantastic. The soundtrack is probably going to be a best-selling soundtrack. I would not be surprised if one of the songs is nominated for Best Original Song at the Oscars. What I find interesting about a lot of the reactions that I'm hearing about this film is that a lot of people really like the first half, but they felt that the second half of the film is where the film ran into problems. And for me, that is not the case. I thought the first half is as great as everyone says it is, but the second half, the film film's tone changes. The second half for me is where you get a lot of the thematic depth in the film, where you get a lot of the meat in the film, and where the film is very layered. It's an extremely layered film, specifically from the standpoint of the Jackson main character. Without spoiling anything, he is going through addiction. He is going through alcohol addiction as well as drug addiction, and you see how that is played out. And you also get to see how drug addiction is portrayed in the film, I feel, in a very interesting way. It's portrayed as kind of a wave. You know, there are good days, there are bad days, there are good days, there are bad days, until you officially hit rock bottom, and then you have to work your way back up. And the film is very open and very honest about how difficult it is, and how it affects the people around you. There are a few negative aspects I have with the film. When I mention the cinematography, I should also mention the editing of the film. The editing of the film is interesting because I found it to be rather jarring at times. There aren't many transitions from scenes to scenes or setups into scenes. Sometimes we're just dropped into the middle of another scene and then we have to play catch up as to what is happening. And that can be rather jarring as a viewer, where you're having to do that much legwork. So some of the editing is a little wonky to me. Another negative aspect I have with the film is that the overall general plot of the screenplay is not necessarily something we haven't seen before. Like I said, this is the fourth film that is titled A Star is Born. So you're going to get a lot of plot elements from those films being transferred into this film, and there have been a lot of films that have taken elements from those other films and put into their own films, so you've probably seen this story a bunch of times. What I really liked about this film is that it took a lot of the elements from the past ones, but did a few changes and a few things here and there to make it its own. So with all that being said, I'm going to give this film a 4.3 out of 5 stars. The acting is great, the direction is very strong, the music is fantastic. I really like the story, although it was a little predictable and is a story we have seen before. I think you will readily enjoy it. This is one of the better films that I've seen this year. I do highly recommend it. And if you're not a fan of musicals, don't worry. This film has a lot more to offer than just its music. So that has been my review of A Star is Born. If you like this video, please check out the other videos on my channel.